Welcome to HD Rare Coins, your ultimate source for rare coins, fascinating history, and the thrill of discovery. From legendary pennies to hidden gems, we explore the world of numismatics one amazing coin at a time. The journey of this coin begins not in a collector's vault, but in the bustling, echoing halls of the Denver Mint. It was 2007, a time when America was deep into its ambitious and wildly popular 50-state quarters program. Each year, 5 new quarters were released, commemorating each U.S. state in the order of their admission into the Union. It was more than just a coin series, it was a celebration of American identity, state by state, told through intricate engravings on the reverse of the quarter. In 2007, 5 states were honored: Montana, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. Each coin bore the D mint mark if it was struck in Denver. The coins were circulated far and wide, handed to children as pocket money, used to pay for coffee, given in change at gas stations. They were beautiful, yes, but they were meant for use, not display. But among the countless quarters produced that year, one coin stands apart. It's a 2007 D quarter, not just rare, but legendary. Not because of the state it represents, but because of what happened during the moment it was made. For reasons that remain partially a mystery to this day, this quarter was struck with an error so subtle and so rare that only a handful of experts can identify it instantly. For the lucky collector or sharp-eyed enthusiast, spotting this error has meant the difference between 25 cents and $110,000. But let's slow down. What makes a coin like this so valuable? What hidden traits elevate it above millions of its identical-looking siblings? First, we must understand the nature of minting errors. Errors can occur at various stages of coin production. Sometimes the die, used to strike the coin, shifts slightly, resulting in a doubled image. Sometimes a foreign object like a piece of wire or grease gets between the die and the blank planchet, causing a misstrike. And sometimes, extraordinarily rarely, the wrong metal planchet is used altogether, causing the coin to appear slightly off in color or weight. The 2007 D quarter in question is believed to be the result of a near-perfect storm of such events. Experts suggest that this particular coin features a die clash, where the coin dies strike each other without a planchet in place, causing unintended parts of the design to be transferred to the opposite die. The result? A coin that bears ghost-like images, slight, haunting imprints of elements that shouldn't be there. But that's not all. This coin is also believed to be struck on a transitional planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or a foreign coin. This changes the coin's weight and tone ever so slightly, making it an anomaly. To the average person, it might just seem like a quarter that feels funny. To a trained eye, it's a golden ticket. Adding to its mystique is its condition. This coin wasn't handled, spent, or tossed in a change jar. It somehow survived in near-pristine, mint-state condition. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, when evaluating coins like this, look for every detail: the luster, the strike quality, and even the smallest imperfections. This particular 2007 D quarter received a top-tier grade, an MS 68, placing it among the finest known examples in the world. And yet, perhaps the most fascinating part of its story is how it was discovered. Not in a collector's auction or a bank vault, but in a small-town coin shop in the American Midwest. A casual hobbyist brought in a handful of coins, more curious than hopeful. Among them was this quarter. The shop owner, seasoned and patient, spotted something peculiar. After weeks of consultation, expert analysis, and third-party grading, the coin's identity was confirmed. Its value? A life-changing $110,000. Such stories aren't just about money, they're about history, mystery, and the serendipity of discovery. They remind us that treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes, it's dull silver, barely bigger than a thumbnail, resting quietly in a cash drawer. Sometimes, treasure jingles unknowingly in your pocket. As news of the discovery spread, the coin world buzzed. Forums lit up. Collectors scoured their stashes. The 2007 D quarter went from obscure oddity to iconic legend. And with its rise in fame came a deeper appreciation for the hidden world of coin collecting, where value lies not only in metal, but in story, scarcity, and the thrill of the hunt. That if you think about it, every coin ever made is a witness to history. But only a few are history themselves. The 2007 D quarter is one such coin. Its unlikely combination of error, rarity, condition, and timing has immortalized it in the chronicles of American numismatics. And so, the next time you receive change from a vending machine or pay with cash at the grocery store, take a closer look at the quarters in your hand. Examine the date. Find the mint mark. And pause, just for a second. Because you never know. You might be holding the next six-figure legend, hiding in plain sight. The Denver Mint has a long and storied history, one that mirrors the expansion of the American frontier itself. Nestled at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, the Denver facility began as a humble assay office in the 1860s during Colorado's gold rush. By the early 20th century, it was striking coins by the millions, marked by the now famous D mint mark. By 2007, the Denver Mint was operating with state-of-the-art technology, producing coins for commerce at blistering speeds, millions per day, processed, bagged, and shipped across the nation. But no matter how modern the equipment, no system is perfect. Sometimes, it is precisely at the height of routine production that the most fascinating anomalies emerge. In 2007, the Denver Mint was working overtime to meet demand for the 50-state quarters program, an initiative that had ignited the American imagination. For many families, collecting each state quarter became a fun household tradition. It was educational. It was patriotic. And for some, it became a doorway into the fascinating world of numismatics. In that busy year, 5 quarters were minted representing the states of Montana, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. Each design told a unique story. The Montana quarter featured a bison skull over the sweeping plains. Washington's quarter celebrated the king's salmon leaping before Mount Rainier. Idaho's showed the peregrine falcon in mid-flight. Wyoming's bore the iconic cowboy on a bucking bronco, and Utah's celebrated the joining of the Transcontinental Railroad. These weren't just coins, they were miniature canvases, etching history in metal. But the 2007 D quarter that eventually sold for $110,000. It didn't earn its fame from its reverse design. No, its secret was in the strike, what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, one of the rarest and most sought-after errors in coin collecting. This quarter wasn't struck on the standard copper-nickel-clad planchet that quarters typically use. It was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a U.S. dime. That's right. A blank meant for a dime, 17.91 millimeters in diameter, somehow found its way into the quarter press. When the powerful dies slammed down on the undersized metal blank, it struck a nearly full image of the quarter's design, but with slightly trimmed edges and a notably different weight. Coins struck on the wrong planchet are extremely rare. They require a perfect storm of errors, mismatched coin blanks, overlooked inspections, and unnoticed anomalies during packaging. Most are caught and destroyed before leaving the mint. But this one slipped through, undetected, destined to circulate in the wild. When eventually discovered, the coin sparked curiosity. Weighing less than a normal quarter, smaller than it should have been, it piqued the interest of a local coin dealer who, after inspecting it under magnification, realized this was no ordinary piece of change. After further evaluation and third-party authentication, the truth was clear. This was a 2007 D quarter struck on a dime planchet. One of perhaps only 1 or 2 known examples, but rarity is only part of what made the coin so valuable. Condition played a critical role. Despite being found in circulation, the coin was remarkably well preserved, with minimal signs of wear and excellent surface luster. The sharpness of the strike, despite the planchet size issue, was astonishing. Professional graders gave it an uncirculated grade, propelling its value to astonishing levels. Collectors began to whisper about it on forums, conventions, and private chats. Offers were made quietly at first, $5,000, then $10,000. But as word spread, demand intensified. A fierce bidding war broke out during a private auction, eventually ending with a jaw-dropping final bid of $110,000. But why would someone pay so much for a quarter? It comes down to 3 factors: extreme rarity, eye appeal, and historical intrigue. This wasn't just a mechanical mistake, it was a moment in time. A tiny sliver of chaos amid order. A minting misfire that revealed the human side of machine-made money, and then there's the thrill of the hunt. Collectors dream of discoveries like this, of stumbling across something remarkable tucked inside a drawer, at the bottom of a jar, or slipped into change from a morning coffee run. These discoveries prove that treasure still exists in the most unassuming places. That fortunes can hide in plain sight. The 2007 quarter has become a modern legend in the collecting world, inspiring both newcomers and seasoned experts to take a closer look at every coin they handle. It's part of a growing list of U.S. Mint missteps that have, ironically, become masterpieces in their own right. A mistake that became a miracle. An everyday object transformed into an artifact of immense cultural and financial value, and as the legend of this coin grows, so does the excitement around everyday pocket change. Across the country, in quiet corners of small-town libraries, at kitchen tables, and in dusty garages, people are picking up magnifying glasses, weighing their coins, and flipping through old albums. Coin collecting has always existed, quietly, passionately, but when stories like the 2007 quarter hit the spotlight, it lights a fire in a new generation. Suddenly, that loose change in a mason jar doesn't look so ordinary anymore. Among seasoned numismatists, the term error coin carries weight. It doesn't refer to a flawed or damaged coin, but to a coin born out of a perfect minting accident, where the mechanical precision of modern minting slips for a moment, giving birth to something utterly unique. These aren't mistakes to be discarded, they're rare, sometimes once-in-a-lifetime occurrences. There's a hierarchy among error coins, of course. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, blockage errors, each has its own level of rarity and collector demand. But transitional planchet errors, like the one theorized in the famous 2007 quarter, sit near the top. Why? Because they reveal that even the most automated systems can falter in subtle, beautiful ways. When a quarter is struck on the wrong metal disc, say, one meant for a dime or a foreign coin, it challenges expectations. It creates questions. Why wasn't it caught? How did it slip through quality control? And how long did it circulate before someone noticed? In the case of the 2007 what's even more astonishing is that it likely passed through dozens, if not hundreds, of hands before someone stopped to look. That someone was not a famous collector or a wealthy investor, but an everyday person, curious, observant, and perhaps just a bit lucky. They looked at a coin, felt something different, and asked a question. That question led to discovery. And that discovery led to a six-figure fortune. This is the magic of numismatics. It's not about hoarding or speculation, it's about seeing something others overlook. It's about learning the language of coins, the strike marks, the edge patterns, the subtle discolorations that tell a story. For collectors, this coin represents more than money. It's a symbol. Proof that treasure still exists in the real world. That museums aren't the only places where history lives. Sometimes, it lives in your pocket. The $110,000 quarter also represents a turning point in how coins are valued. In the past, rarity was defined almost entirely by mintage numbers. If only a few thousand coins were made, they were valuable by default. But in modern times, with millions of each coin struck every year, value is now tied to condition and error. This evolution has reshaped the market. Today, third-party grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, play a vital role. Their sealed cases and numerical grades are the modern currency of coin valuation. A grade of MS-68 or MS-69, denoting near perfection, can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into a hot commodity. Add an error on top of that, and the value climbs exponentially. That's exactly what happened with the 2007 quarter. Its high grade sealed its fate as a grail coin. Collectors scrambled to find another like it. Rumors of a second surfaced, though no definitive confirmation followed. This fueled even more speculation, more interest, more eyes scanning coins by the thousands. In coin shops across America, dealers began receiving calls about 2007 quarters. What's it worth? Can I bring mine in? Do you have one in stock? Most quarters from 2007 are worth face value, 25 cents. But now, people weren't just spending coins, they were investigating them. A wave of everyday treasure hunters was born. This explosion of interest didn't stop at quarters. Suddenly, people were looking closer at pennies, dimes, nickels, and half dollars. They began learning about key dates, such as the 1909 SVDB penny or the 1955 double die cent. They started understanding mint marks, luster, strike strength, and die fatigue. They weren't just collecting, they were learning. This is the ripple effect of a single coin. It doesn't just change the life of the person who found it. It reawakens a dormant curiosity in others. It turns currency into connection, connecting people to history, to craftsmanship, and to possibility. And there's a deeper lesson here, too. In our fast-paced, digital world, where value often feels abstract and fleeting, coins remain grounded. They're physical. Tangible. They carry weight, literally and metaphorically. A coin like the 2007 quarter reminds us that craftsmanship still matters. That mistakes can be beautiful. And that sometimes, greatness hides in the most unexpected places. Imagine this: a child drops a quarter into a soda machine, and the machine spits it back out. It's slightly too small. Confused, the child pockets it. Later, their parent glances at it, notices it looks off, and places it on a shelf. Years pass. That quarter collects dust, until one day, a curious teenager finds it and Googles the date. The journey begins again. That's the enduring power of coins. They move through time and hands, gathering stories along the way. And for one 2007 quarter, that story has already spanned decades, amazed experts, inspired thousands, and made headlines around the world. It's not just a piece of metal. It's a legend. A modern miracle. A quarter that defied the odds, and rewrote what a piece of pocket change could be worth. And this is only the beginning. It all begins in the final year of the legendary U.S. state quarters program. Since 1999, each year brought 5 new designs to honor a different state, and by 2008, collectors and the general public alike had developed a keen interest in each release. The quarters didn't just represent currency, they told stories. They sparked pride and curiosity. And in this final year, the pressure was on to finish strong. That's when the Philadelphia Mint released the 2008 P Series, a batch of coins that, on the surface, seemed just like the rest, but deep within the piles of mass-minted quarters, something unusual happened. One of the Louisiana quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint was different. Not just in condition or shine, but in something deeper, something that made numismatists take a second look. Maybe it was a tiny flaw in the die, or maybe a nearly imperceptible doubling of the letters, but one way or another, this coin started to stand out from the rest. To understand why, you have to look at what makes a coin valuable. Sure, age is part of it, but rarity is king. The fewer examples of a coin in high grade, the higher the value. Add a minting error to the mix, a doubled die, an off-center strike, a planchet issue, and suddenly you have a unicorn in your hand. That's what happened with the 2008 P quarter. Among the millions of routine coins, one had it all: a rare error, exceptional condition, and a stunning finish that bordered on perfection. Most people don't know what to look for when they hold a coin. They might notice the shine, or maybe they remember collecting state quarters as a kid, but few truly inspect the details. On this 2008 P quarter, there were subtle markers, a doubling in the text along the top edge, a strange thickness to the letters in United States of America. To the trained eye, it was unmistakable, a clear double die error. That alone would elevate the coin's value significantly, but this coin had something else going for it: a perfect grade. When professional grading services like PCGS or NGC receive a coin, they evaluate it under magnification, looking for any scratches, bag marks, or flaws. The highest possible grade is 70, but most coins, even freshly minted ones, don't come close. This 2008 P specimen received a Mint State 67 designation, which is almost unheard of for this type. It was pristine, flawless, with brilliant luster and full details. The discovery was quiet at first. A private collector submitted the coin for grading after noticing something unusual under magnification. When the grade came back and the error was confirmed, the buzz began. Word spread through the numismatic community like wildfire. Auction houses were contacted. Phone calls were made. Serious collectors, people who dedicate their lives to acquiring rare pieces, took notice. When the coin finally hit the auction block, expectations were high, but even the experts were stunned when the final bid came in $105,000. Not for gold. Not for ancient silver. For a 2008 $quarter minted in Philadelphia. It became one of the most talked about coin sales in recent history, not just because of the value, but because of what it represented. The idea that something so recent, so ordinary, could be so extraordinary if found in just the right condition. The coin was purchased by a private investor who saw it not just as a collector's item, but as a historical artifact. It now sits in a temperature-controlled vault, insured for far more than its sale price, and occasionally makes appearances at elite collector conventions. People line up to see it. They take photos. They ask questions. It has become a legend in its own right, but here's the real magic of this story. That coin wasn't discovered in a hidden safe or a dealer's showcase. It came from someone like you, someone who took the time to look closely, to learn what makes a coin valuable, and to recognize that even the most common objects can hold astonishing secrets. It's a reminder that treasure hunting isn't just for pirates or adventurers. It's something we can all do, right from home. So how can you tell if you've got one? Start by checking the year, 2008. Then, look just below, "In God We Trust," for the tiny P mint mark, which stands for the Philadelphia Mint. Examine the coin carefully under good light. Look at the lettering, especially United States of America. Are the letters thicker than normal? Is there any sign of shadowing or doubling? Flip it over and inspect the design for sharpness, especially the fine details in the landscape and symbols representing Louisiana. Condition matters, too. If your coin is scratched, worn, or dull, it's probably only worth face value. But if it looks untouched, with a sharp strike and clean surfaces, you could be looking at something special. The next step is to consult a grading service. Professional evaluation is key. And remember, don't clean your coin. Cleaning can destroy its value instantly. Let the experts handle it. This story isn't about luck. It's about paying attention, learning the signs, and taking action. The next time you get change at the grocery store or clean out your junk drawer, pause for a moment. Pull out that quarter and give it a closer look. Who knows? Maybe, just maybe, you're holding the next six-figure treasure. Some people think collecting coins is just a hobby, an old man's pastime, flipping through binders and peering through magnifying glasses at dusty relics of a past economy. But that's a narrow view. Coin collecting, especially in the world of modern American minting, is a world where history meets chance, where art meets economics, and where tiny metal discs become symbols of national identity and personal discovery. The 2008 PUSA quarter isn't just valuable because of a fluke. It's valuable because of everything it represents. In 2008, America was changing. The country was on the verge of a historic election, in the midst of a financial crisis, and coming to the end of a numismatic era. The state quarters program, which had brought new life into everyday coinage, was coming to a close. What started as a way to get people interested in coins again turned into one of the most popular initiatives in the history of the U.S. Mint. Millions of Americans participated, casual collectors, children, grandparents, educators. They scoured change jars, hunted for missing states, and compared mint marks. For some, it was a fun distraction. For others, it became an obsession. By the time the Louisiana quarter was released, the Mint had already issued 47 different quarters. Louisiana's design was chosen from multiple submissions and was meant to highlight not just state pride but a key moment in American history, the Louisiana Purchase. Without that purchase, orchestrated in 1803 by Thomas Jefferson, the map of the United States would look very different today. The coin commemorates a transaction that doubled the size of the country, an event that was bold, controversial, and transformative. And the coin itself, with its elegant curves and botanical flourishes, tries to capture the legacy of that deal in a space no wider than an inch. Collectors love symbolism, and the 2008 Louisiana quarter delivers plenty. The fleur-de-lis is a nod to the French influence that shaped Louisiana's language, law, and cuisine. The trumpet honors the state's musical heritage. Jazz, born in New Orleans, reshaped the sound of the world. The outline of the territory reminds us just how massive that land deal was. All of it packed into a space most people barely glance at when handing over coins at the gas station. But what makes this particular 2008 P version so special isn't just the design. It's the combination of circumstances. Imagine the chances: a machine at the Philadelphia Mint experiences a fleeting misalignment, a minor doubling of the die used to stamp the quarter. The resulting coin has letters that are ever so slightly thicker, more pronounced, like a whisper in the metal. Not enough to be obvious. Just enough to be different. Then, that same coin avoids the fate of most coins, being dropped, scratched, chipped, worn down in pockets and purses. Somehow, it's preserved, perhaps found in a roll of newly minted quarters, perhaps tucked away by someone who sensed it was special. And then, when the time is right, it ends up in the hands of someone who knows exactly what to do. That chain of events is rare. Not just rare in a statistical sense, but rare in a poetic sense. That's the true value of the coin, not just its error, not just its condition, but its story. Every high-value coin carries a story, but this one, born at the intersection of national celebration and economic uncertainty, tells a story that resonates on many levels. The auction itself was a moment of tension and excitement. Collectors and dealers from across the country tuned in, some in the room, others on phones or online, watching as the bidding began. It started modestly, as all auctions do. Then the buzz started to grow. People recognized the coin. Rumors had already been swirling in numismatic forums and private circles about a mysterious 2008 P with a confirmed double die and MS-67 grading. Now it was real. The bids jumped, plateaued, and surged again. When the hammer finally dropped at $105,000, the room was silent for a moment, stunned by the final figure. Then came the murmurs, the head shakes, the quiet acknowledgement: something historic had just happened. The aftermath was just as powerful. Collectors went digging. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of coin enthusiasts across the country began examining their own 2008 P quarters. Some found minor doubling, others simply found ordinary coins. But the hunt itself brought people into the fold. New collectors were born. Coin shops saw an uptick in interest. YouTube videos were made. Articles were written. The legend of the 2008 P quarter grew.